All right. Hello, everyone. I have the pleasure of having with me today Quentin Hardy. And Quentin is going to talk about renovation loans. And as a matter of fact, he can talk about it because he has a nice little resume that follows him, which is he was a top producer, number one, in two organizations that he's been with. Is that correct, Quentin?
Yeah, number one dollar producer. We can say the names. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
It's number one dollar producer at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. So I did more renovation loan dollars than anyone else for more than 1 year. And then Movement Mortgage, I was the number one producer of renovation loan volume there, number one in the country, more than 1 year. And I've even done a renovation loan in my own house. So I've got an interesting perspective, and now I'm the national renovation national renovation manager for the renovation program where I am now.
Okay, perfect. So Quentin, we're going to start off with a very basic question.
Okay.
What is a renovation loan?
Excellent question. A renovation loan is a mortgage.
Okay.
Now, the way it differs from a standard mortgage is really only in one aspect, and that's the collateral, the property itself. And let me explain. Normally, when you go to get a mortgage, you're going down two different roads at the same time. The bank wants to make sure that the people are giving an acceptable risk that the bank can manage, and that the property is giving an acceptable risk that the bank can manage. So they're going to check the people's income, assets, credit score, look at your credit history. Are you likely to repay? What's your probability of repayment? The bank wants their money back. So they're going to check the people. And that's the same whether you're doing a purchase or refinance, renovation loan, whatever. Now, the property, that's the part, the collateral, the home itself, that's what's different with the renovation loan. Normally, they're going to send out an appraiser who's going to tell them three things. Yes, there's a house there. Here's the market value, and it's safe to live in. When you do a renovation loan, instead of a standard appraisal, the appraiser is now going to appraise the house as if it were renovated. So you get a work bid from a professional contractor, and now they're going to say, let's say it was a 3-bedroom ranch, and you decided you want to convert it into a 5-bedroom colonial. When the appraiser goes out, they have the plans, the floor plans of what it's going to be, and the work bid, and they're now going to appraise the value as if it were a 5-bedroom colonial already. What's great about these loans, it's great to buy properties that are distressed, foreclosures, Hurricane Sandy, zombie homes. Of course, if you're just buying an older home, the home does not have to be in bad condition. It can be in great condition. But a lot of first-time home buyers, they maybe want the new kitchen and the new bathroom. So rather than go to Home Depot or Lowe's, where you can get a 0% interest credit card, it's 0% interest for the first 45 minutes. Then it goes up after that. So rather than do that, they can include it in their mortgage. So it doesn't have to be a distressed property, but a renovation loan basically is a mortgage with a different way of looking at the property itself. We're going to look at it as if it were renovated, rehabbed, or changed in some way. That's a long answer, but I think I covered it.
No, I think that's a great answer. And so I have another question. Now, if the house has safety issues, because in a lot of conventional mortgages, if there's safety issues, the appraiser finds it and things have to be, fixed, right? Or it has violations or any certificate of occupancy issues. Like what happens then?
Well, as long as that's handled in the renovations, we're really concerned about what the house is going to be, not what it is.
Okay.
So if the house has violations, black mold, exposed asbestos, broken windows, exposed electrical wirings, no roof, radioactive waste, we don't care. As long as all that stuff is going to be rectified post-closing by the renovation, then we're good to go. The only thing, now we say violations, in the 5 boroughs, external violations are occasionally a problem. You have a broken sidewalk, the renovation loan can't fix that.
Right. Okay. Now, if somebody wanted to get started with this, right? Like, what's the process?
It's the same as any other loan. The difference is not all of the banks, the big banks, for example, when I mentioned Wells Fargo earlier, they stopped their program in 2017 and they went pure vanilla. So if you go to Chase, Citibank, Capital One, I don't think they do mortgages anymore, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, none of them do renovation loans. They're pretty much vanilla going toward the masses. But there's lots of other banks that work with the renovation loan. I'm sure you're going to put my contact information and, they can always reach out to me or whomever you are connected with. But it's the same as getting a pre-approval for any other kind of mortgage, really.
Okay. Now, once you go into contract, right, and you own the property, you close, like what is the process then as far as the money going to the contractors? Do I have to deal with the contractors? Like what are the pieces involved there to get the actual work done?
There's, I know sometimes I hear people say, what about a 203K certified contractor? There is no 203K FHA. If you notice the 203 contractors, 203K certified contractors, they leave out the words FHA because it's not connected with FHA in reality. There's just three numbers in a letter. So there is no such thing as an FHA 203K certified contractor. And we also have to remember that there's other kinds of renovation loans. There's Sony Mae, there's VA renovation loans, there's Fannie Mae, there's Freddie Mac, there's FHA. So there's, lots of different kinds of renovation loans. But once you close, depending on the size of the loan and which kind of loan, that's when you can access the money. At that point, you can now pull out money to go ahead and do the renovation. But the contractor is selected by the homeowner if it's a refinance, or the home buyer if they're the one buying the home. It's not selected by the bank. You don't have to use from a list that the bank has. You select your contractor, and when you close, all the money for the renovation is held in an escrow account for you and your contractor to withdraw and go ahead and do the work. You can generally get some of the money up front to buy materials and get started, and then the rest comes out in pieces as the work is completed.
Now, I hear something about a streamlined rehab compared to a more extensive rehab. But you can also build a house from the ground up, correct?
Yeah, you can knock a house down if you keep the foundation and rebuild from the ground up.
Okay.
The 203K, we hear a lot about the streamline, and I think too frequently people try to use the streamline, and we'll get bids for $35,000. People think that that's the magic number, but that $35,000 has to include the contingency, which depending on the kind of loan, it could be 10, 15, or 20% of the work. The contingency is the money that's built in just in case there's a cost overrun. You open up a wall, there's black mold, or there's termite damage, or something you did not expect. So that has to be included in the 35, as well as any of the inspections. So it's not really 35,000 in work, it's closer to 29. And unfortunately, that number has not been changed in more than a decade. So when you consider inflation, 35,000 is not really a lot of work. So whenever I meet with someone like, we're trying to stick with the streamline, I always ask why. Because the streamline does not allow you to do any architectural changes, nothing to weight-bearing walls. But there's no real advantage for the consumer, except the one advantage is that there's no HUD consultant. The HUD consultant is a third party who's going to do an evaluation of the project to make sure it's going to meet FHA standards and that all the work makes sense and that nothing is left out. They're going to charge you about $100 per $10,000 in work. So if you were doing $35,000 in work, you saved yourself $350. Okay, that's not bad, but you're probably better off employing the person and doing the amount of work that you really want to do. I mean, if you're doing $50,000 worth of work, okay, they're going to charge you $500 for their services. I think it's worth it. So most of the time when people are trying to stick with the streamline, unless they're buying a house that there's only one tiny thing that's wrong with it, and that one tiny thing is all they want to fix, then usually going beyond the streamline makes more sense. I mean, if I'm going to do a kitchen and a bathroom, I might as well do all the work that I intend to do the next couple of years and just have the house the way I like. And that's what my wife and I did. We bought the house that we live in now. It was a short sale that had been vacant for 3.5 years. And we redid the kitchen, the bathrooms, all the walls, all the doors and door frames, and fixed the pool. So the day we walked in, I did the floors over too. All the surfaces were new. So it looked like a new house on the inside with new kitchen, new bath. But now some of those things you could have said, we'll do in 2 years or 3 years. But why? Just we're doing the renovation loan anyway, so we got it all done. And now we've lived in the house for more than 10 years and we haven't had to do anything to it.
Okay. Now, if you own a home, you can also do a rehab loan, right?
Absolutely. It's a mortgage. So when you go to refinance, I work with quite a few contractors, for example, who, when they're doing dormers and extensions, people are doing $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in renovation, and changing their 3-bedroom ranch to a 5-bedroom colonial, adding on, garages, all these things. Yeah, you can use the renovation loan for that as well.
Okay. Well, you gave us a lot of information, Quentin. Thank you so much. If someone wants to reach out to you, how do they do it?
Well, 516-614-4088 is my work cell. You can text it or call it. So I'm sure you're going to put my email address and all my contact information on the screen. So reach out to me, and love to help you with your renovation loans.
Okay, Quentin. Take care of yourself, right?
Be well.